Hello, welcome to Handmade by Julie Quinn, and here I am sharing my fun fold card for our Textured Notes Stamp Camp. If you have purchased the tutorial for this stamp camp, you'll have all of the measurements to make this, both in imperial and metric. And this fold is a brilliant fold to show off gorgeous, gorgeous paper. You may know or you may not know, I'm a reasonably simple card maker, but this is a bit of fun, but it's actually quite a simple card. Now, some people, when they make this card, glue these two sections together to make a 3-page card, but I just love the ta-da nature of this card. So as I said, it shows off both sides of your designer series paper, works really, really well. It gives you 2 panels to write on, and it also stands up really beautifully for your recipients to display and admire your incredible masterpiece. Okay, so I am going to do this same card. Hang on, I'll just put these out of the way. Do this same card but in different paper, so you can see different paper in action. Okay, I have used the corrugations. Yeah, I don't know whether you can actually see, but right on this edge here, it's exactly the same, but because of the design of the burlap paper, it's not too obvious, but it is a little bit of fun extra bits. And the only place I've used the dies, these amazing dies on this card, is a very subtle bit of stamping. I'm just going to make sure I got the right one. So I've actually used the die as a stamp. Very messy, not a technique for those who don't like getting their fingers dirty or inky, but looks really cool. And the other technique we're going to use with this card as well is colouring the ribbon into the colour, because whatever colour you want, because of the white ribbon you can do that. So as you may have guessed, I'm using oh goodness, the grey granite basket weave design paper. So it's got basket weaves on both sides, so I have to decide which way I want on the inside and which way I want on the outside. Do I want it that way? I think I do, because I want to stamp on it as well. Now, I've done all my scoring, and as I said, if you've purchased the tutorial, you'll have all of the score lines for this card. And there you go, you've got your little Z. So that way, yes, I think I will go that way. Now, before we do anything else, let's do our stamping first. All right, so first bit of stamping I'm going to do is actually on my designer series paper. See, I've done the extra stamping there, so it looks like it flows on from the writing panels onto the paper. Okay, so with this really cool stamp, and I think I'm going to use grey granite. Now, I haven't tried this card in this colour before, so this is an experiment, everyone. I'm experimenting on you. You're my little guinea pigs. How's it looking? Yeah, looking pretty good. And I might just continue that on there. Okay, and another one over. Ooh, this side. And a bit more up there. And another one up the top here. Okay, I think that I might do one more down the bottom. Then I'm going to clean my glass. Where did I put my rag? Here's my glass. While I'm stamping with that really lovely stamp, I've got my 1, 2, 3 panels. So 2 for inside and 1 for the front, and they all have exactly the same stamping on them. And I'm just going to use a piece of scratch paper so I don't have to keep cleaning my table. There we go, 1 there, and 1 there, and 1 there, 1 there. Easy peasy stamping. The multi-tonal image of this stamp also makes it very forgiving. Okay, I think that's all the stamping I've got to do there. So I can clean that one up, and while I'm doing this, I'll do my, have I got another, here it is, a little note of appreciation piece of paper here. Cut it a little bit longer, I'll probably trim it, but so I'll stamp in the middle. That gives me flexibility, and I'll stamp it again straighter. There we go. And then on one of these little pages, I'm going to do thank you. And on another of these little pages, I'm going to do my beautiful basket weave, which shows similar to what was on the front. Do I want it? Yeah, I do. There we go. There's my basket weave, which will be where my greeting goes. Okay, so that's all my grey granite stamping. Now I think I will use some smoky slate to do some sponging all around the edges out of all of these pieces. Round and round and round and round. Round and round and round. And round and round and round and round. Okay. And last one. Okay, and on my greeting as well. Just going to do it on both sides. A little bit there and a little bit there. All right, I think that's it for the smoky slate. Now, this is the bit where you need bravery and gumption. I'm just going to ink up my die because it doesn't have the same deep profile of a stamp. Okay, and pop that on there. Your fingers tend to get dirty, which is why we need to have the sponging to hide your finger marks. Okay, that one didn't work so well. I need to push it in a bit more, Julia. Push, 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 push. And it's not a very detailed die as well, which means that I've got a hair in there. There's a hair in my ink pad. That's why it wouldn't stamp. Okay. And just going to pop that down there. My fingers are a bit mucky, so I'm going to use a bit of scratch paper to rub over the top. See if I get a better impression. There we go. Cool. Very nice. And then one more. So you can do this with lots of dies. This one is a fairly fine die, so you'll only get a very fine image. But some of our dies have lots of detail on them. So it's easy to pop them in your ink pad and get extra colour. Okay. Here we go. I'm tempted to do this one again, just to give it a bit more interest, because it was fairly light. So pop that down and rub. There we go. Let's see how we went. And that's my very, very subtle stamped framework. Easy to do. I'll have to wash that one before I stick it together. Oh, while I've got my scrap paper, the next thing I want to do is actually colour my ribbon. So if I want 1, 2, 3, about that much. And it's easy to colour your ribbons with your stamping blends. I'm just going to use smoky slate and the brush tip and just colour all over it there. You can actually do ombre colours on ribbons as well by using your dark and your light. And then flip it over and do the other side. Some of it's soaked through already because it's alcohol marker. But this is a great way to get lots of flexibility out of your white ribbons. There we go. And that doesn't take long to dry at all, being an alcohol marker. So we just pop that aside, get rid of that, and we can start assembling our card. So there's my stamped panel, and it's going to go right in the center of that. Layer that up there. Okay, each of these panels are going to get layered onto a corresponding piece of, I think I've used grey granite actually for all of these because I thought it went better with the designer paper. This is very subtle, but it does give it a lovely little, a bit more than the panel had before it had the framework stamped onto it. Okay, and then last of all, I've got my embossed piece here. And this one will show up a bit better than the other piece. And actually, I think I'm going to do the alternative side this time. I'll just run my adhesive down there and stick that one on. It's been embossed with the mini corrugated folder. Okay, and I'm going to start from the inside, which is my blank one, because I find it easier to start from the inside and then build it up from there, because what I do is layer everything up together. Okay, so right in the middle, then the next layer is my thank you layer, and I'm going to use my line there that I've already done from my base to line up my panel there. Okay, whoops, 1 and 2, and then here's my front panel, and using the other two to line it up again, and I flip it over this way so that I can use the edge of my paper to know where I can put my adhesive. Okay, so I can't put any on this side because then my whole card would stick together, and that would be a tragedy. So line that up right with the other ones. They're all exactly the same size. Rub that in. Okay, so then we've got, look at that. It's rather lovely in those colours, isn't it? I am a huge fan of pecan pie though, and don't use grey very often, but it's rather nice. All right, now I said I might trim that, so I might go quite short this time. 1, 2. That way it is a really little note of appreciation. Okay. There, and going to just line this up here so that I know how much I've got. Put my adhesive right there and layer my ribbon there, and then add my dimensionals onto my greeting to anchor the ribbon in place. Okay, a little note of appreciation. I do like when you can add a greeting and continue the theme on the inside of the card. So a little note of appreciation, thank you, and then you can write to your friends and family there. Okay, and then last of all, some dots. And I think, because on my original card I used pecan pie, I think I will be using, that's beige, pecan, I think I'll use white actually this time. There's a bit of white here, and another one up there, or I wonder what it would look like. Let's try. I have a bit of time just before Sharon comes back on again for her 2 standard cards. Let's have a look, see what it looks like when you colour these guys. Ooh, I'm liking this. So, with great bravery, I'm just going to colour the tops of them because they've got a nice flat top. And then I can add these ones as well. Use them up. And I'm going to put them down here. One there. Oops. There. And up there. There we go. So there is my 2 fancy folds. Quite a simple fancy fold. Sharon's shutter fold was amazing, wasn't it? Using pecan pie and the designer series paper and grey granite and the designer series paper to show it off there. Very, very nicely. Thank you so much for joining me, and you've got a little 10-15 minute break and then come back for Sharon and she'll have her 2 standard cards to share with you. Bye bye now.